Hi guys, it's me Anne, and before starting this video I would like to apologize for my voice as I'm having a very bad cold. Now if you remember some time back I had recorded a video where I showcased 15 of my plants, and that was apparently our 30th video, and I wanted to showcase 30 of my plants, but then as I was recording I realized that the video was going so long and I decided to cut the video into two parts. So today I will be showcasing 16 other plants that I own. This is the second part of that video, and if you haven't watched the first video, I will leave the link down below for you. So go and have a look at that as well. If you're new around here and you're watching my video for the first time, do subscribe to our channel. We have loads of green content coming your way. So we would love to have you as a part of our community. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, don't forget to follow me there as well, because we do keep putting a lot of updates and lot of green talk happens on Instagram. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this video and let's have a look at these 16 very beautiful plants that I own. This is the pride of my garden. I am absolutely in love with this plant. I know it is extremely common in some places, but the beauty of this plant is mind-blowing. It's just so beautiful. This is the Tradescantia Sp, and this is not the original plant that I bought. I had bought it in a hanging basket and it's there hanging up there in my balcony. This is the one that I had propagated from that plant, and this is an easy to propagate plant. You just have to pluck out stems and poke them into the soil and they just fill up. Now in the rainy season it has filled this entire pot. If I show you, this is how it looks from the top. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a shine to each leaf. There's a purple and silver shine. It's like somebody has applied eyeshadow, purple silver eyeshadow. I don't know if I can get you a close-up of this so that you have a better look, but this plant is a shiny plant and it's really beautiful. The undersides of the plant are all purple, so it's beautiful when you see the undersides as well as the top of this plant. I feel this is showstopper. I love this plant, though it is a common one. So now we have another Tradescantia variant, which is the Tradescantia pallida, commonly known as the purple heart. Now this is a very common plant, and I was never a fan of this plant, being very honest with you. I never thought that I would keep it in my garden, but it has an interesting story. I found a small little piece on the road just under my building, and I thought I'll pick it up just because I felt it seemed to look like a nice cutting. So I brought it and I poked it into one of the pots, and it just took root and started growing like crazy and filled up this entire pot in no time. So when I saw it grow like that and I saw that it maintained its color in spite of my balcony having very less sunlight, I really fell in love with this plant and my mind changed towards it, and I would recommend this plant. It adds good color to a dull balcony, especially balconies where you don't have sunlight and you cannot grow flowering plants. So these plants with purple foliage really add color to your balcony. This one here is another bromeliad, and it is the Neoregelia Carolinae Variegata. It is, as you can see, at the first glance you will feel that it is a spider plant, but then when you look at it again, it is definitely not like the spider plant. It's very different. The leaves are very stiff. You can see it just stands in one place, and the edges of the leaves are all blunt, and the leaves are super waxy and glossy, which gives it an amazing, interesting look. This plant is a flowering plant, and when it usually flowers, it seems, I've heard that it blushes at the base of the plant. There's a blush, it becomes reddish, which is interesting again. And this plant is very good for terrariums, especially the huge terrariums, because this plant grows to be quite big. It's a moisture loving plant. This beauty here is the Epipremnum aureum marble queen, which, I mean, the name suggests is queen-like. If you look at the leaves, the speckled variegation on the leaves gives it such a dainty, beautiful look. Now, if you look at this plant, it's slightly strange because see how the variegation disappears on this part of the plant. I was just observing the whole section here. There is just variegation on one leaf and then it all goes green. So that's something strange, and I feel I like that because it adds a lot of personality to my plant. When your plant does strange things like this, it always adds to its personality and makes it unique and beautiful. Sometimes people confuse the marble queen with another variant of pothos, which is the Manjula variant. Now that is why does that happen? That happens because a variant of the Manjula, one type of the Manjula variant, has leaves that are speckled, just like the marble queen. But there are features of it that make it also very different from the marble queen. It has segments of green going, all around the leaves, which make it look different from the marble queen as well. This one here is the Aglaonema widuri, and it's one of my favorites because of its color. The color is so vibrant and so intense. You can see that this leaf here, I don't know if you can, this leaf here especially is the reddest leaf on this plant, and the color is intense, I tell you. The other leaves are also pretty red. Look at the stalk. Another interesting part about this plant is the stalk. It's light pink and it looks very pretty. I love the variegation on the leaves. The pattern on the leaves is really pretty, and I think this is a hybrid that has come from Indonesia. And as far as aglaonemas go, these plants are very easy to keep. If you're a new gardener, I would suggest you get aglaonemas. They are not only beautiful, but they're extremely hardy and will do with a lot of neglect. So they are the plants you should go for when you're a beginner gardener. Now this one deserves to be put in a beautiful ceramic pot, and I'm still on the hunt for a pot that will accent this and make this plant stand out. So I will soon be potting it in something better. This one here is one of my older plants. It is the Peperomia obtusifolia, and I've had it for a very long time. It should have grown a lot in that time, but it hasn't, and it's not in very good health right now because it was left out near the edge of my balcony, and it took a lot of rain when it was stormy a few days back. So that has resulted in some of the leaves blackening in places. The stem has blackened in places. The fact that it got a lot of water could be the reason why the plant has started blooming, and you can see the blooms are really very interesting. If you look closely, they are like white tiny little sticks, and there is one here, there's one here, and there's one here. There's a lot of new growth happening here, so it's good. It's a good thing with this plant. Probably it's happy right now and it's recovering from whatever trauma it went through. I really love how the leaves are round and waxy and thick. And the word obtusifolia means blunt-leaved, so that's why it has its name. This one here is the Syngonium erythrophyllum, and when I first laid my eyes on it, I thought it was the philodendron micon because it looks very similar to that. But when I closely looked at the leaves, you can see the leaves have an arrowhead appearance, and it turned out to be a Syngonium erythrophyllum, an arrowhead plant, which is still extremely beautiful because this is growing in an amazing way. There is new growth everywhere. You will see that the plant is full of new leaves, and the leaves, when they are new, they are absolutely glossy and shiny, which make it look really good. What I love about this plant is the dark green foliage, and the undersides of this plant is a stunning maroon color, which is extremely beautiful. You can just see the growth, how thick it is, and it's been doing well ever since I've brought it. It's given out such a lot of new leaves. It's filled up the pot and it's grown in size, which is really satisfying for any gardener. This one here is the Syngonium podophyllum Sp, silver pearl. Now if you look at the foliage, it's light green in color. I love the color. Though this is a very common one, you get it everywhere. You always see it in the nursery. I really like the way it looks, so I had to have it in my collection. And I like the way the leaves are shaped and the way it looks all fluffy and frilly. So that's why I tend to have Syngoniums. So I have another variant of the Syngonium podophyllum. This is the one right here. This is another variant. It is a wilder one and it is a more common one, but I like the way it looks and I like the way it stands out in the garden. I love the white vines that are visible on it, so that is why I have it in my collection. These are 3 of my Syngoniums. This one is my Dieffenbachia maculata tropical tiki. Now when I went to the nursery wala sold it to me saying that it was an Aglaonema. But then I wasn't convinced, and when I did my research I found out that this is a Dieffenbachia tropical tiki. And what I loved about it, it stood among the rest of the plants as the leaves. Just look at the leaves, the pattern and the variegation on the leaves is absolutely insane. Just look at how it looks. You need to see it up close to see how intricate the pattern on the leaves are. If you look at it, there are 2 shades of green. There's a light green and there's a dark green, and there are white spots. So I feel that the leaves are very beautiful. There's these 2 new leaves coming up, but I'm a little concerned because there are some brown spots here and there, and I think I need to move it outside so that it gets a little bit more of sunlight and a little bit more humidity so that it'll do better. But then I'm really happy with this plant, and I'm really this is one of my favorites. Yes, it is. This one here is the Tradescantia, the green one, not the variegated one. It has tiny purple flowers that look really pretty, lilac flowers or purplish flowers. There were blooms on here, but now they've just died off. So I will put a picture of it on screen so you can see how the flowers look. They're really pretty. And I have this plant because it adds to my Tradescantia collection. And I plan to get as many as possible because they're really easy to grow plants and they fill up pots very easily. So I started this one from a tiny little cutting and it's growing and it's filling up the pot. Here we have the eranthemum red. Now this is a very pretty looking plant, especially because the leaves are reddish in color, and if it's in brighter sunlight the leaves become a little more red. And this one has just finished blooming. Some of the blooms have dried up. There are some fresh blooms here. You can see the blooms are very pretty. It blooms on the tips of the branches and it looks really cute. This plant really excited me because when I bought this plant, I also got another one free in this. This is a Graptophyllum pictum, and it's a Rosea variegata. It's also commonly known as the Caricature plant. This plant is another pretty looking plant because of its variegation, and if you notice, this variegation has a little bit of pink in it, which makes it look very, very pretty. This pot also gave me a few more surprises. Like, there are some tiny weeds growing here, and I really like these miniature tiny weeds, and sometimes I even pick them out and put them in my fairy gardens. So I always like if there's something extra going on at the bottom of the pot. One thing you need to remember about the eranthemum red is that this plant is a very thirsty plant. It will simply droop if you don't water it, so you need to water it every day. I do water this one every day. It cannot do without water. What I really like about this one is how the new leaves grow. The color variation that goes, like the dark green ones are down and then it gets lighter. The really pink ones, the reddish ones are at the tip. Those are the newest leaves. So that's why this plant looks so interesting. Now this one here is another fern. It's called the silver lady fern or the tree fern. There's a little bit of story behind this one, how I got this one. When I'd gone to a nursery, not my regular nursery, some other nursery, there I spotted this fern. It was pretty big, but there was one thing about this plant was that the fronds were just burning out. They were just drying up. Like you can see, this one is this frond and this frond, there's a little damage. It's dried up. It's like, it looks like it's burning. The tips are burning. So there's something wrong with this plant, and the nursery wala told me, don't buy this plant. I'm not selling it to you because it's on its way to die. So because I had not seen a silver lady fern anywhere in my local nurseries, I said I want to buy this one, and I told him that I will try to nurture it back into health. But he challenged me, saying that if I can't keep it alive, you definitely won't be able to keep it alive. But I said it's worth giving it a try than giving up on a plant. So we brought it home and we thought we will nurse it back to health. And this is how it's been doing. If you notice the bottom of this plant, you can see that there were so many fronds and the fronds are all gone. They were huge fronds. It was a big plant and it's all dried up and dead. So when that happened, I was very disheartened and I was sad, and I said, okay, fine, he was right, the nursery wala was right. I should have listened to him. I wasted my money. But this plant surprised me by kicking back and started throwing new growth, and if you can see, there are new fernlets coming each day. They're unfurling and they're just giving me so much joy, and the plant is coming back to health. I think it is. So I have to continue to take care of it and see that it comes back to the way it was. So this is my story with this little fern, and hopefully in the future I'll do a care video on the silver lady fern and add it to my Fern It Up series. So this is a plant that I had bought a long time ago from a mall nursery, and they sold it to me saying that it was a white ghost. But when I came back home and I tried to ID the plant, I couldn't find any white ghost that looked like this. The white ghost searches were all directing me to succulents. So I have been dying to know the identity of this plant. Then over time I got to know that the Pedilanthus species looks like this. You must have heard of devil's backbone or the Pedilanthus. That's how their stem is, and it looks very similar to this. The only difference is that plant stands a little more upright. It's not a trailing plant. So let's get to talking about this plant. This is not the plant that I had got from the nursery. This has been propagated from cuttings. The mother plant is there in a hanging basket. It's still there and it's thriving. I have also propagated some and given it to my family. In my brother's house, there's a pot full of this. So what I love about this plant is that it grows so freely and it fills up pots in no time. And something that I really love about this plant is how it blushes when it gets a little bit of sunlight. So you can see these leaves down here. They are pink and they are blushing, which makes this just look so beautiful. And I think I like the way I've paired it in this metal bucket. I bought this metal bucket and I spray painted it white and have filled this. I think it's a perfect plant for this container, and I'm really happy with the way this one looks. So I hang it on my grill, and it seems to be very happy and doing well. It's one of my absolute favorite ones. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Also share this video with your friends and leave us comments down below. We do love to read your comments. So I'll see you again next week. Till then, stay green.